Are you stuck? How about unhappy? Join Elena Chapman, author, mentor, and life coach for Magical Moments with Elena as she challenges you to get out of the doldrum and start living your life to the fullest. In just 60 minutes, Elena will help you take control of your life and push you to do the things you never thought you'd do. So get ready to take back your power and celebrate life with Magical Moments featuring Elena Chapman.
Welcome to Magical Moments, and I am your host, Elena Chapman. And today, we're going to get you some ease and betterment like you've never seen before. We're going to go to the heart of the matter of how to really live life with that wonderful feeling of, I got this, and feeling confident, vital, and healthy. Now that leads me to my magical nugget, which will be open-ended because that's going to lead into the show, guys. This is a little bit different type of magical moment, but I like it. So, all right, we all want this wonderful vitality. We all want to have that fountain of youth. We all want to always be healthy and just fall into sleep when our time is for the next journey. We don't want the disease. But this is the thing. We don't always think about the mind, body, spirit. And that is the triangle. That is the pyramid. That is the fountain of youth. It is the place where the mind, the body, and the spirit meet up as one. And more than any time that I know of, and I'd love to say I'm very young and haven't seen much of life, but I'm not that young, and I have seen more than my share of life. And right now, I see more confusion. Right now, I see more people who just can't get their footing. I see more people with fear, I mean real fear, where we would used to call it almost a psychosis. You know, those people who wouldn't leave their homes. Well, we're getting on the verge of many people not wanting to leave their homes. They're too afraid right now. That's not good. And the other thing I'm seeing a lot is because of the confusion, because of the fear, because there's this built up anger in some people. I mean, a real anger that just in 2 minutes, a little thing happens and they're flying off the handle. You know, this is not a healthy way to be, folks. And it's definitely not mind, body, spirit. It is constant mind. We are obsessed right now in our minds, in that negative part of the mind, the worry, the doubt, the fear. We are constantly in the buts. Well, I'd love to try that, but, and then our mind starts spinning into the negative. I'd like to go have a social with my friends, but, and then all that fear comes in. And see, that is what is causing us to be topsy-turvy in our mind, body, spirit. We're constantly in the mind. We're overthinking. We're criticizing. We're judgmental. We're, I don't know, anything under the sun that's not to our benefit. And yet we got to get back in to that mind, body, spirit. So how do we do that? How do we get where we are so connected to our spirit? I have so many clients come to me and they want guidance. They want to be connected better. They want to live by their soul. They want to have that ease and betterment every day. They want that magic in their life. But yet their mind is overtaking everything. We have to go back. We have to work on the mind, because when their mind is so critical, every step I take them on, that critical mind is going to put a cap on it. And I know it. I've seen it happen. I can't get them anywhere because of the critical mind. It's on OD overdue, over something. It's over the limit. So we have to start thinking of how to come back and balance this wonderful sacred triangle of the mind, body, spirit. And that brings me into our fabulous guest. I'm very excited about this one. This guest is Dr. Elisa Peavey. Now, she opens up with a fabulous quote. I love this quote. This is actually one of my favorites. When I opened up her bio and I saw this, I thought, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Okay, so yesterday I was clever. I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself. Okay, so I won't let you wait on that. That is by Rumi. So look that up. Think about that. Copy it. I mean, just get it into your mind and write it down and put it on your mirror in the bathroom. That is such a cool. Anyway, Alyssa Peavey received her medical education at A.T. Still University, KCOM, in 2010 and completed her family medicine residency at Oklahoma State University in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 2013. And since then has worked in both the private and the employed sector of medicine as an FP and OBGYN. Now, growing up with an OB-GYN and father and an energy worker for a mom, isn't that interesting right there? I love that. She acquired a very unique perspective when it came to health. It was for this reason that she left traditional medicine in 2020 with a calling to lean more into the spiritual, the alternative, and the mystical, after realizing our system, our health system, was failing so many. Dr. Peavey now works closely with business owners, leaders, physicians, practitioners, and other healers, searching for health in a deeper, more meaningful way and looking to better and improve the lives of her clients and her employees. What she does, guys, is she gets that triangle in order. With that, I would love to welcome Dr. Elisa Peavey. Hello. Oh, you are on mute, my dear.
So I'm so sorry about that. Hi there. Thank you so much for having me.
It is so great to have you on. I'm so excited. Okay, so I'm going to hit this full on right now. So here we are. We've got all this anger, confusion. Anxiety is at an all-time high right now. Okay. Divorce. Oh my gosh, we had more divorce than ever in my life happened during these last few years. So we've got a lot of people who are just getting back on their feet. We're getting a lot of hurt, a lot of feelings of uckiness, anger, betrayal. So we've got so many emotions out there. It's amazing. It's just amazing, but they're all negative. And so with this, how can we start our lives again with all this negative emotion? How can we start using the imagination when our mind is so critical and filled with fear and what ifs and anger and everything else? I mean, how do we keep our health in order when we're all stuck in that mess? I mean, it's really quite an interesting question that I don't think anybody has addressed yet. And it's a big one.
It is. It's a huge question. We talk about these feelings of anger and fear and frustration that everyone's feeling, this uncertainty. But it's those feelings that are actually creating and causing disease. When we look at just the word stress is 90% of disease, and the actual meaning of stress is emotional or physical tension in the body. So 90% of disease is caused by emotional tension or physical tension, what we can feel.
90%.
Yeah, 90%. I think they actually say 95% now if you look it up, but 90 to 95% of disease is caused by stress. Yeah.
And nobody is saying anything about this right now.
Yeah, well, we say that all the time, but does anyone really know what they're saying? Like, what is stress? I think we need to look at what that is. Stress is our emotional health. It's either how we're thinking or it's what we're feeling, over and over again. And that's what people aren't really looking at. Where, you talk about the mind, body, spirit. Physically, we can do all sorts of things for the body, and we can do things for the mind, but we're not really looking at that spirit aspect at all. Where it's almost like it's not even a part of medicine.
No. That was separated.
Yeah.
I mean, oh gosh, I forgot the year, but it's separated totally from church, from medicine. And it stayed that way. And now it's just starting mostly through right now in quantum physics is the only place that it's starting to go spiritual. I wouldn't say it's going religion, but it's going more spiritual, and it's proving things left and right. But but it's not. No. And neither the two shall meet. Yes. It's very interesting. But that's the missing link. That's the piece. I mean, we talk about healthcare and we look at the failing health system and the exponential increases in disease, whether it's depression and anxiety or diabetes, hypertension. I mean, I think that they're estimating 50% of adults have high blood pressure. Why do 50% of us have high blood pressure? Why do we need to have that going on in our lives? I don't know. It's so funny. They want to blame food. And that's fine. We do have an awful diet as Americans. However, everywhere you go, that food is, sometimes that's all your choice is.
Yes, you're exactly correct. And I'm going to tell you from a spiritual perspective, I've always been someone who's been very focused on what I eat. I've always just been drawn towards healthy eating. I pretty much stopped drinking soda when I was 18. I just had this innate knowing about food. However, before I left the employed practice that I was in, for probably 3 years, I was one of the best eaters you would find. I was a CrossFitter. I worked out. I followed Anthony Williams. I mean, I was amazing. And although I know that it was very helpful to me, because I was not following my spiritual path, it didn't matter. I was gaining weight. The stress was too much. The physical stuff I was doing for my body wasn't working, because I wasn't following my spiritual path, my purpose.
It is. It's that triangle.
Yep.
And that's what people don't seem to understand.
Yeah.
And guys, listen, I've been on where, I go to church every Sunday, but if you're not practicing that spiritualness inside of you every day, and it is important. I mean, if you're not exercising every day or walking or moving, just moving, and if we're not eating healthy, it takes all three. And you're saying, Elena, when do you have time? And I know, folks. I understand, because
little changes, though. It's the little things.
It's the little things.
Yes.
It's like, instead of choosing the egg sandwich with the sausage that's not so healthy for you, getting a yogurt and fruit.
Right.
Know? It's the little things that you do. And it's like, instead of getting in the car and walking down the street, or getting in the car and driving down the street, then walk down the street. Or it's just little things. You don't have to get a whole gym subscription and go there every day, because some of us will only make it like a week. I'm one of those. I'm not big on gyms. It's just not my style. So I know it's the little things you do every day. Maybe coming into the house, turning on the music and doing a good 20-minute dance.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
I love that.
It's changing your environment to something that brings you joy, and trying to find those things as many times as possible throughout the day that are going to feel good. So if it's going for a walk and looking at the sunset, maybe that's what you need. Or for other people, they need to get on their, Peloton bike and spend 45 minutes.
Yeah. I think you are so right. It is filling your world with, it raises your vibration, guys.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
what it is. That's what helps. When you raise your vibration, it shuts down the critical mind.
Yes. Yes.
And I even got a doctor to agree with me.
It does. And when you can stay present, right? So when we think about anxiety, for example, when someone is anxious, they're anxious about what might happen.
Yes.
We don't know if it's going to happen. We have no idea. There could be a million possibilities of what might happen, but yet we're focused. Our mind is focusing us on the what ifs. But when we can be present and just, let's say you're going for a walk and all you're doing on that 20-minute walk is looking at the leaves, at the bugs on the leaves, the birds flying overhead, you're only paying attention to those things. That critical mind is not getting in there and creating havoc and creating stress, right? Because when it says to you, oh my gosh, what if you do this and this happens? Well, that just saying that out loud is stressful. It's stressful to me just saying, oh my gosh, it might happen, or that it feels heavy, scary.
It does.
Right? So finding those things in that present moment as often as possible, even if you're working and all you can do is look at the pen that you have and say, I love this pen, the way it writes. Those little things will help keep you present and will help raise your vibration so that you can do more of those things that you want and you can feel more joy and stay out of the low vibrational feelings like fear and frustration or anger that are actually going to create disease in your life.
And that's the thing. I always talk about making moments sacred, like making the bed and feeling the softness. I talk about that on the show. I talk about that everywhere. But when they feel valid in their negative thought, because they've heard it somewhere, such as don't leave your house because you'll catch the virus. And I am bringing that in because that is something that we are dealing with in this time, but it can be anytime. Don't do this because this is going to happen. And somebody you trust tells you that. And so you trust it, and that's fine, but it plagues you. And it creates this fear in you. And that puts you in the fight or flight, which then all of a sudden the stress starts affecting your body. The chemicals are released. You're training your body to have that fear constantly.
Yes.
And then you start getting the anxiety, and then they give you a pill to stop the anxiety, but it doesn't conquer the fear. So the fear continues. Am I getting this kind of right?
Yes. And you hit the nail on the head, because the way that the virus has been managed has exponentially worsened health for so many people. Depression, anxiety have gone through the roof. I mean, increase of all sorts of strokes, heart, problem. Autoimmune diseases. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a real problem. And when we choose to validate the way we're feeling with those negative emotions, all it's going to do is keep us in those negative emotions and in that negative state. We're really never going to get out of that if we choose to keep living in that. And I know what you're saying, because I've been there so many times on my journey when, I feel like I've kind of broken through something, some belief system or challenge in my life. And all of a sudden it comes back up, rears its ugly head, and it feels like it's right back there in your face again.
Yeah.
And you want to, at least you want to almost sit in those feelings for a while. And I've really come to understand a couple of things. One, it's okay to have those come up and to feel those feelings. Mm-hmm. I used to feel like there was something wrong, or I wasn't doing it right. And oh my gosh, I've got these feelings coming back again. I'm creating this life that I don't want. But I've come to understand that they're coming up for a reason, and your body wants you to process them and to actually allow them to go through. And so when that happens, letting that flow through you and feeling all the hurt and the pain or whatever it is that's coming up for you, and telling yourself that it's okay to have those feelings, and let it, almost visualizing it passing right through your field and then going out and being carried away like it was gone,
It's funny because in my family, when I was growing up, you didn't feel those feelings. You know what I mean? I was taught, nope, got to be tough. You cry after the battle. That's what I always heard. You cry after the battle. So like I was the masker. I just shoved them all down. And they just add up and they add up and they add up. And it wasn't until, I was 30 before I decided, wait a minute, they're coming out like popcorn. You'd be talking to someone and wham, that anger comes out, or that sarcastic remark, or that just something that's not helpful comes out. That's popcorn. That's a negative buildup coming out of you. And I thought, I've got to start processing my emotions. And it was hard. I mean, really, I had to learn. I remember I would know I was upset, but I didn't know why, because I didn't ever allow it. So I would go get a sad movie when we used to get movies at the Blockbusters or whatever the stores were, or turn on AMC, something that would make me cry. And then when I cried, that emotion would come out with it and it would cleanse me. Yes. That emotion, that hurt that I felt, or how mean that person was to me, or how that really didn't go right. And I had to learn how to process my emotions. Isn't that something?
Yes, absolutely. Because we're not taught how to process our emotions.
No.
When we're kids, and we're crying in the back seat, it's here's a cookie while you're crying back there. It's okay. Everything is fine. Or,
that eating addiction.
Yes. And we're taught to feel like something is wrong when we don't feel happy all the time.
Yeah. And
there's not necessarily anything wrong with having low moods and having feelings come up.
No, your feelings are your warning system.
Yes.
They are your warning system. And listen, if you don't process that person hurt you and get it out of your system. Now, I'm not saying live in it, get it out, get it gone, cry it out, run it out. Think it out really quick or whatever, but get through it,
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, that's where you think to yourself in a positive way, okay, it's time that I set up some boundaries.
Yeah.
Or, or this didn't work out. Well, then it gives you the opportunity to say, well, okay, I'm going to try this instead now. That didn't work that way. But if you shove them down, you just keep going in the same direction because you're not aware. You keep getting hurt all the time. You keep getting into the same circumstances. Like my mentor, Bob Proctor, said, you fall in the stupid hole every time you come around the corner because you haven't processed, you haven't learned, you haven't gone through the lesson. You need not to fall in the hole.
Yes.
I mean, it's important. It's even in the spiritual world, though.
Yes.
They
They
are really bad about that, of feeling the emotion. But yet that's emotional health. Don't you? I'm saying like I'm the doctor.
No, but you're exactly correct. They talk about emotional health in the spiritual world, but I feel like they're kind of missing the, they say, just think positively. Well, that's awesome. I want people to think positively as well. Like I want to think positively, but when we have 90% of our belief systems being subconscious, meaning we're not even aware of them. Yeah. And if 80% of the thoughts that we had yesterday, we have today, and if most of those thoughts are negative, well, then most of what we're thinking all the time running in the back of our mind, like an analog computer, is constantly dictating our behaviors as well as our experiences. Like a good example, you talk about divorce, someone stuffing down their feelings. So you have a couple in a relationship and it's not working out. There's tension, there's fighting, and there's all these things that are they're going against each other. And one couple or one person in the relationship maybe has been abusive. Okay, so the relationship decides to end, and this person who's been abused never really addressed the emotional or verbal abuse or whatever it may have been that was happening. She left the situation. I'm saying she, I don't
could be a she and he, right?
Whoever it is, left the situation, but never actually dealt with that. So what's going to happen? They have thoughts running, subconscious thoughts. I'm not good enough. I'm not enough. I couldn't make it through that relationship. Obviously there's something wrong with me. I mean, honestly, the list goes on and on.
Deserve this.
Right? Yes. Yes. And then we find another relationship that's attracting those same exact thoughts, putting us in the same situation to either learn that same lesson again until we get it, or until we start looking at our actual thoughts that put us there to begin with. That's where the healing is going to come. And then you can actually be in charge. You're in control of everything that's going on in your life because you're aware, who you are, and what your thoughts are.
And when you know what your thoughts, if you know where your thoughts are and you're creating an environment for your mind to be more at ease, then you have some free time to concentrate on the body in a healthy way. And you're not just stuffing food down because you're rushing around too much, or you're rushing, or you're angry and you're eating sweets. And then that spirituality, that spiritualness in your life, whatever it is, then you can start opening up to it in a way that's not a nervous need.
Yes.
And more into a discovery, a gratefulness, a wonder, a fascination, and an imagination. We will be right back. You're listening to Magical Moments. I'm your host, Elena Chapman.
This is Magical Moments with Elena Chapman, helping you find your ease and betterment. Stay tuned for more of this week's featured interview.
Welcome back to Magical Moments. I'm your host, Elena Chapman, and we really are at the epic time to develop that ease and that betterment in our lives. And we're showing you how right now with Dr. Peavey and Alyssa. I would love to speak with you a little bit more about this because, all right, so we talked a lot about the mind and how funny this mind can be. Gosh, our mind alone is such an interesting thing. I find it so fascinating. But, all right, and we all know, come on, there's tons of videos on the physical. So you put the physical, if the mind's in order, the physical will follow because you just want it. You do. You feel good, vitality, you want to get into it. You want to take that walk. You want to dance when you come in the door. You want beauty around your life. But there are so many people who have both of that, but they're missing the tip. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. I always find that when you take away that triangle, and you only have two going well, or only one sometimes, but you have two going well and you don't add the third, it's fragile. Oh my gosh, I just broke my leg. Everything, I start going into depression. Do you see? Or I lose my job. Okay, oh my gosh, now the world is all upside down. There goes all that exercise and that good eating. Negative thoughts start right in. Everything falls apart like crazy. So I really find that you have to have that spiritual. And I'm waiting for your response when I give this, okay? This is big, because you can say, Elena, you're crazy as a loon. But I have even seen and felt when we're okay with the spiritual and have such incredible faith in the spiritual, whatever your spirituality is, then it can heal us on levels that are just like miracles.
Yes. Yeah, I can attest to that personally. Injuries that I've had that the only way that they were able to correct was through a spiritual process and a release, just having kept negative tension. And it very, very, very much, well, none of the doctors could figure it out. So it really was all a spiritual process. And that piece is, I think it's everything, and we can heal. The spiritual piece is bigger than both the physical and the mental piece. If we only had the spiritual somehow and without the other, it's still very possible to heal. I mean, Joe Dispenza is a prime example of that. He healed his back. That's all he had. A couple hours a day of visual meditation for 6 to 12 weeks or something. Yeah. And he was able to completely heal what he had going on. So it is very possible. If you bring in the physical and the mental, you put all three of them together. I mean, it's a dynamic duo. You really cannot go wrong when you know how to bring all three of the pieces together and can utilize them in the most proficient way possible.
Okay. So, yeah. Joe Dispenza, I just love, I've met him. And so I have, he's very cool.
I'm sure.
But he, and we did chat at a short bit because I healed myself that way too. And I've just healed from a skin condition that way. It was spiritual. And it's understanding that you really have to get to the point where you gotta come to terms. I really feel this is important. And you can say yay or nay, but I really do feel that stuff doesn't happen to us. Everything really happens for us.
That has been what I've been telling myself the last few weeks over and over again. Everything is happening for me. Everything's happening for me. I have started to adopt that's like becoming
your new mantra.
Oh, I can totally feel, yes.
But
because you know why I think it's becoming that, because it actually puts distance or space between what might be going on in your life that's chaotic. Right? If we can look at it from that perspective, it's happening for me. Yeah. You feel better. You actually feel like there's a force and a power that's helping to propel and move you towards whatever goal it is or whatever destination you're supposed to be going towards. And it's more empowering than it is a feeling of helplessness, because, otherwise, here it is happening to me again, or whatever might be going on. I guess this is just how my world works. It just doesn't feel as good. It's not as empowering. You can't do as much.
Oh, yeah. I once heard a man say, he was starting a business and he said, well, you're always going to have a challenge. You're always going to have an obstacle. You just got to deal every day. And I thought, oh my God, that's a horrible energy. Yeah. That is such a hard energy. Oh, get me off. Yeah, that's no. And I'll tell you, I forget what year, I think it was 2014, 2013, I got tumors in my uterus, and they were really bad by the time I discovered them. And so my doctor was out of town. I went to another doctor because it was really bad. And he said, we got to get you in for a full hysterectomy. And I said, wait, because they were really bad. And I said, well, let's just wait until my doctor gets back. He goes, it's going to be 2 weeks. I said, that's okay. And I went home and I thought, okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to try to heal these suckers on our own. That's what I said. And so I just went into the spirit world. I said, what do I need to know? And I started to I did the visualization, and I saw the light just come and go around the uterus and cut off all the tumors and clean it. And then in my visualization, it always ended up clean. I did that once in the morning and once at night, once in the morning, and then sometimes I'd add another. I just kept it doing, and you could actually feel it in your uterus. I could feel it. And in about a week and a half, they all just fell out.
That is amazing.
And I
love that.
I went to the doctor, and he said, I went to my doctor when he came back. He says, you're clean. I don't know what he was talking about. I said, I don't either. I wasn't about to. That's great. I'm happy.
Yes.
So and then with the skin, I was suffering from a horrible skin condition for a little while. And a year and a half, a little while. But I was getting everything happens for you. And I knew that, but you know what? Forgive yourself, because you do fall into why me kind of syndrome. But I'll tell you, if you go from the angle of this is happening for me, I opened up to, okay, so all my screaming, all my upsetness has not done anything. The medical profession was just masking it. Nothing was working. I said, this has to be spiritual. This has to be happening so that I can learn something. And that's when I have now, well, with that, I also met an incredible shaman. And we were talking, no, this is incredible. You're going to like this story. And I healed myself, but then I also was able to give her an incredible little healing.
Oh, I love that so much.
And if I hadn't been sick with this yucky thing I had been going through for about a year, I would have never learned about the gift of healing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the ability to do it across the United States.
Yes. Yes.
We don't understand our own power. When we are connected spiritually, everything happens on a spiritual plane before it happens to us.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. Yes. 100%. I mean, most disease states really are in the ethereal plane, in the quantum field before it ever shows up physically. And if we can really focus on those areas, raise the vibration of the field or the disease that's present in the field, it's going to completely change what's happening to us in the physical. And it sounds like that's what you did for the rash, or for the skin condition. And I love that you're bringing up the fact about healing in that way. I have actually, in the last several weeks, I've been doing a lot of healings on my own that I've felt compelled to do. And I've had generational and other family members come in at different times. And I know that I was working with them and their energy too. Things like with my dad, and, he's a physician, I'm a physician. Some of that stuff I have been totally tied in together, and I was able to work through stuff that I'm sure he's felt. And I know that I was feeling, and find healing there and forgiveness. And
awesome.
I mean, just incredible, incredible things that we can do energetically. And he's all the way in Oregon. I'm in Florida,
Yeah. Yes. See, I think we totally don't understand the how much we can work with spirit.
Yeah.
And it's not like we are, I don't know. There's nothing really mystical about it. Mm. It is what it is. And I do think that when we go about it knowing that there's a lesson for us, and usually that sickness, just like a challenge that's brought up in our life, well, a sickness is like a challenge.
Yeah.
And every challenge that comes up in our life is an opportunity to learn. It's there for a reason. It's there for us to learn, whether that's in your business, your relationships, or it's in your wonderful, health. Yeah. And now that's not to say that you don't change habits here on this plane and in your physical, right?
Sure. No. I very much have to. Yes. I mean, after I do, so, just as an example, healing, I'm not doing traditional medicine, but there was emotion around that it must mean that I'm not good enough or something, to do what I'm doing now, even though it sounds silly to me even saying that, but I really needed to work on that emotionally for me. And after I step away from that healing, you're still going to have the day that's going to come in, and you're going to have little thoughts, that itty bitty crappy committee, right? That we have.
Yeah.
It's going to come in, and it's every time they come in, now I have to remind myself, okay, wait a minute. I just had that thought again. no, I'm going to cancel, delete that. And I'm going to replace it with what I do want to feel, or, you know, however many times that happens, it doesn't just go away. You have to be dedicated to constantly changing that thought form when it comes back in your mind. And that is how you're going to get past the subconscious thoughts that tend to keep us stuck in the daily routine that we're in, that we don't like.
Really, yes, and not forming the life that, and I'm not saying you have to stop your job, leave the family.
Right. No,
start traveling the world.
Right. No, you don't need to do all those things. Yeah. It's just finding those moments, those all day long. How can I be present? What can I be grateful for in this moment? Even if you're in like the worst situation and all you can do is say, well, that's a really pretty picture right there. Like any number of those things are going to start changing.
I mean, know your limits. If you are like really in a funk, and I have those funks, everybody does. It'd be, oh gosh, I'd be so silly if I said I didn't have those anymore. And what do? I'll tell you folks, I know what I need to do. I need to get in my car, because in my car, I can move and think at the same time. And it gives me something new to look at. And me, I'm a sky person. So if I can look as I'm driving and I see that vastness of that sky, and I'll tell you, every time I'm in a funk, it's like the universe says, we know, Elena, here's the most beautiful sky you can see. And they give me this beautiful vastness. And then I put on the music, and even the music I put on processes where I am in my mood.
The music is huge for me. I never knew.
Yeah,
I never knew that I needed music in my life. Oh. I mean, I grew up listening to music. My mom was a singer, you know, she would sing and play guitar. I just never fell into it. And all of a sudden in the past year now, when music plays, I feel good. And I tell my kids now, I'm like, if I'm in a bad mood, just turn on some music. You don't have to say anything to me. You can just turn on some music, and they will literally do that. My daughter Bella, she'll just like turn it on, just hand it over to me. Like, here you go, Mom. Because it makes me feel better. Yes, those routines, those things that we can do every day that make us feel good. You get in your car and drive and look at the sky. And I love to find a tree I can sit next to and literally just feel the energy, nature and the tree, and connect and ask questions. And, you know, just talking about it just fills me with so much emotion. But those things are amazing and they're free. We don't have to pay for them. You know, we can do them anytime we need to, and take that couple of minutes that is
chemically alter our brains.
Yes. Change the mindset.
We just change the mindset. We allow ourselves to process it and then to feel better. And that by the time I'm done my car ride, I'm happy as a lark. I've processed it all, but I've also made changes. But I want to talk, you know, when we say, okay, so you're not going to go to Europe and leave the family and everything to change your life. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the rituals, and I live by my rituals. Even this morning, I was supposed to have an appointment at 10 o'clock this morning, and we had a late morning. I had to change. I had to get ready for the show. And I thought, I could make this appointment or I could do my ritual. I canceled the appointment. And I love in the morning, I love to drop off my child, and then I love to go to a nature preserve. And I usually get a nice hot tea, and I sit there at the nature preserve, and I do my best meditations there. I do my healing. I used to do my healings there. When it gets warmer, I'll walk more. But that is a precious ritual of mine. That starts my day. That's where I do my gratitudes. That's where I'm looking at that vast sky. Today I was saying, oh, hello, Mr. Blackbird. You're here helping me do this meditation. I love it. I love to hear the music. I mean, that is if I miss that ritual, it's like, okay, I got to create something else during this day. I can't go without, it's not, I don't have to be right there, but I have to have that moment of specialness.
Yeah.
And, it really does change your mindset. It changes everything about you. These little rituals you put through your day. I have I don't know, how many rituals do you have that you keep?
I have a lot now. I used to not have any rituals, but I am a ritual person. I mean, I have my obsidian and my other crystals that come with me everywhere. I have my sage that I burn every morning and my candles.
Yes. I love candles anyway. Yeah, I love candles.
Yes. I mean, I go usually down to the beach and watch the sunrise in the morning. Yeah. And I'm able to just really connect in, and I can do tons of visualization. Sometimes I just look at the sun and the water. Sometimes I listen to my headphones and go in and do some sort of, binaural beat meditation. But those keep me centered. They absolutely keep me centered, and they feel good.
Yeah.
They feel good. Yeah.
They feel good. They connect that mind, body, spirit.
Yes.
The rituals connect the whole triangle.
Yeah.
I really do feel, we get so busy, and I think the busyness, I was telling you before when we were talking that I was raised to be not who I am. I was raised to be a high achiever. You just almost like this workaholic, high achiever person. I was my daddy's girl. That's what he did. That's how he always thought I was a flower child. So he kind of overdosed on teaching me to be the other way. You know what I mean? And for years, it was this, you have to be busy like every minute or you're not being productive. Everything. There was one time in my life, had a full assistantship for a doctorate. I had 2 choirs there that I was working with. I worked 3/4 time now you wonder, how is that possible? I don't know. I did it at a church. I not only did their choirs, their instrumental, everything. I also did their drama and their youth. I was everything. And then I was also at 2 colleges teaching teen students and had a choir there too. Now, needless to say, there were times when I had to drive over and sleep on the road because I couldn't drive any further. But yet I was being applauded for how hard I was working. Now, that's not good.
No. No.
That's what's set up. Well, years later, we're not bad, but we have a bit of adrenal fatigue. And I'm thinking, I don't worry. I don't care in the world that way. I don't do that. But yet that style of living, that busyness that we put ourselves in, and I know I gave the extreme, but how many of us are push, we don't even have time to think. We are baking the brownies for the thing tomorrow at 12 o'clock at night for the school. We are getting the kids to wherever they need to go. We are taking care of our spouses. We're working 40 hours on top of all that. And we still have the laundry and everything else to do. And oh my gosh, and then we're going to plan a massive family vacation where we have everything scheduled out to the upteen every minute.
Yep.
And we never stop the busyness.
No. And that's where we fall into problems is not stopping the busyness and actually stopping the thinking and just being, I used to come home from work from my, 40-hour work week, and the day would just be so exhausting that I could hardly have conversation with my family and my kids. I needed to literally shut myself in a room and kind of turn off the lights and just get away from it all. Yeah. It was that overwhelming, and I was going all the time. I never stopped. And I can tell you, compared to now with my routines, and I spend a lot more time in meditation. Well, I didn't really spend any time in meditation then. I spent a lot of time taking care of me.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that I'm a lot more efficient, and I probably get done I do get done a lot more stuff than I ever did when I worked.
I do too.
40 to 60 hours a week. I'm in the flow more. And so it's even that it feels that much better because not only is the balance there, I feel like, but I'm still able to be just as productive, if not more so.
It's that focused flow, I think you get, because you are calm.
Yeah.
And it's like in the Tao, Lao Tzu, Tao is the book of the way, okay? And Lao Tzu talks about the story of the man who is carving the turkey or the meat. And it's like the knife is just flowing. And the man is concentrated, and the speed is like lightning, and yet he's not even breaking a sweat. And it's just so focused. But yeah, it's like this, it's like the flow of a river.
Yeah.
And that's no worries, no anything. It's that flow. It's that zone. It's a highly focused zone.
Yes.
You can't just do that on like when you're running 50,000 places. Yeah. Your mind's always on the forward. Oh, I got to go do this. I got to go grocery shopping. I got to pick up the kids. I got to do that project for work. You can't do that.
Right.
I'm actually trying to teach my youngest who can tend to have a little anxiety. I'm trying to teach him, if you just schedule things, schedule, get yourself a schedule. I'm not going to worry about that homework all day long. I am going to do it during this time and this time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you do that, you'll find that you do it calmly. Mm-hmm. Nobody can hassle you about it. You got your time. Leave me alone. I got my time. And then you also have time to play, and you'll find that life is, I'm just trying to teach him ways to make his life more in flow.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Heart coherence.
All this stuff. It is. What is heart? What did you call it?
Heart coherence. Have you heard that term?
No.
Oh my gosh. Look up the Heart Math Center.
Okay.
They've been studying the effects of emotions on the heart for like 20 or 30 years. I mean, they have so many studies. It's amazing. But they talk about how to get into heart-brain coherence, where you're focusing just, center your chest. This is where our higher selves are. This is where our knowing, if we can focus there into our heart. And so then the answers come through from our higher selves. And then we can better go throughout the day. We can better make our decisions, our choice, all of those things if we're in a coherent state.
There's so much knowledge out there. There's so much knowing out there about how that centeredness, that feeling, that connection of spirit, mind, body is really the vitality of our world. And yet it's not common knowledge.
No, not yet, but it will be. It's coming out.
How do people get hold of you and want this wonderful way of getting their health back in order?
Yeah. So I have a website. It's at 4bodhi.com, number 4, and then Bodhi is spelled BODHI.com. I offer a variety of different packages or options. I have a video series called Quantal You, which the first 4 episodes is explaining the field, our thoughts, our emotions, our behaviors, and then meditation. And then it goes into all these different types of therapies and modalities like rapid eye technology, biofield tuning, Tibetan bowl therapy, et cetera, to teach people about what they are and tie it in with the science piece to, so it all comes full circle. And then I have a program that, that essentially it's this all-encompassing 90-day program that works with physicians, leaders, healers, et cetera, that really, if we can work on ourselves, imagine how that will translate through to all of the people who work for us or with us, our patients, our clients, whomever they might be. And so really just finding our authentic selves, who we are at the core, and really being able to affect more people in a bigger way and everything else. So this program is 90 days, and it's just all encompassing. It's changing your environment. There's money every month that's to be used towards different healers in my network across the board that they can choose, all the way from acupuncture to functional medicine or rapid eye. It really doesn't, whatever they need. And so, just kind of finding that perfect program for each person.
Yeah. I love it.
Thank you.
Oh, I want to thank you so much for being here. So as always, guys, spirit is love. And when we start to open ourselves to our own health, our mental and physical health, and then we open that door to spirit, oh my gosh, we are at the prime place to have that vitality, that giving, that pulling in our control so that spirit can be with us all the time. Isn't that cool? I love you all. This has been Magical Moments. Namaste, and we'll see you next week.
This has been Magical Moments with Alena, featuring Alena Chapman. If you missed an episode, download it now on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, CastBox, Deezer, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, or your favorite podcast platform. Learn more online at soulmanifesto.com.
Podcasts by Federated Media.